Welcome everyone to the 46th Annual YWCA Hamilton Women Distinction Nominee Unveiling, presented by ArcelorMittal Dofasco. My name is Bianca Chiaramento. I'm so happy to be here with you all today and throughout the week to introduce you live to the 2022 Women of Distinction Award nominees. Before we kick things off, it's important to state that the YWCA is located on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement and is directly adjacent to the Haldimand Camp Treaty territory. We at the YWCA Hamilton respect the long-standing relationships with local Indigenous communities, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and Six Nations of the Grand River. As a movement, we are dedicated to advancing opportunities for learning and for education and are committed to the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report. I encourage you to recognize and acknowledge the land that you occupy, wherever you may be tuning in from. Now, this is our first of 5 nominee unveiling events. Tomorrow, we will be announcing the nominees within our business, entrepreneurship, and innovation category. We hope that you can join us tomorrow and each day until February 11th between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. to celebrate our 2022 nominees. You can register for one or all of our nominee unveilings at ywcahamilton.org. Today, we encourage you to use the chat function to cheer for your nominees and friends. You can throw some emojis in the chat and let us know how you're feeling. And you can also help us spread the word about our nominee unveiling events by using the hashtag WOD Hamilton Halton. And please follow and like YWCA Hamilton on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. All nominee unveiling events will be recorded, and thanks to our media partners, will be airing on Cable 14 and Your TV Halton. Announcing our nominees is a milestone and celebration each year. And when the team at YWCA Hamilton began planning the 2022 Women of Distinction Awards, they imagined a groundbreaking hybrid gala that would have allowed guests to choose whether they'd like to attend in person or watch online from the comfort of their home. But as we all know, COVID-19 has a way of disrupting even the best laid plans. Given the unpredictable nature of the COVID-19 virus and in interest of keeping our community and our staff members safe, we've decided to move our 2022 Women of Distinction Gala to an entirely online format. We're certainly disappointed that we won't be celebrating in person this year, and we know we aren't the only ones feeling burnt out by screens. But the good news is the YWCA Hamilton team plans to bring you an exciting and engaging virtual event produced completely live that will celebrate the incredible accomplishments of women in our Hamilton and Halton communities. We can't wait to welcome you and our nominees. Now, to share more with us about the 2 categories that we'll be unveiling today and the motivation behind the Women of Distinction Awards, please join me in welcoming YWCA's Hamilton CEO, Denise Christopherson. Welcome, Denise.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute, folks. Thank you, Bianca. We are so grateful for your support as the nominee unveiling event MC, along with your leadership on our board of directors. To everyone turning in right now, thank you so much for being with us to celebrate the 18 nominees across arts, culture, design, and education, training, development categories. I know you're all eager to meet our nominees. Folks, this year we have 73 nominees, and we have so much to celebrate with all of them. And you'll have a chance to meet these incredible women over the next week by tuning in daily to our category unveilings. This year's Women of Distinction Awards is dedicated to the trailblazers who build our Hamilton and Halton community. In honor of International Women's Day, we're celebrating the women, young women and girls who build leaders, opportunities, innovation, and who build each other up. each and every one of our nominees joins the ranks of over 1,700 women who have been recognized over the past 46 years. There's a phrase that we like to share here at YWCA Hamilton, and that phrase is, "You can't be what you can't see." This phrase was coined by Marian Wright Edelman, an American activist, and this phrase reminds us that we need to highlight leader, role models, activists, and trailblazers that young women and girls can look up to. Representation matters, and that's what Women of Distinction is all about. And it's about celebrating. We know that the pandemic has and continues to have a disproportionate effect on women. Across Canada, more and more women have died than men, in part because women bear the brunt of responsibility on the front lines of the pandemic response. In Canada, women continue to be concentrated in occupations known as the 5 Cs: caring, cashiering, catering, cleaning, and clerical functions. And as a result, more women than men have had to risk their health and safety in order to continue working. YWCA Hamilton, along with our YWCAs across Canada, continue to push for a feminist recovery plan that centers the needs of women and gender diverse people. In Ontario, we're challenging our government to commit to a she recovery and invest in long-term, sustainable, gender-focused upskilling and training to help women access well-paying jobs. We're also advocating for investments in universal, high-quality, affordable childcare and the enactment of standards for decent work conditions to improve labor and employment standards in feminized industries. We at YWCA Hamilton are working hard to advance gender and racial equality in our province. Our nominees are also working hard. Today, you'll meet the nominees who make up our arts, culture, design, and education training and development category. Nominees across each of these categories play a vital role in building Hamilton and Halton. Within arts, culture, and design, our nominees are enriching the community through their commitment to the arts. They are advancing visual, literary, multimedia, architectural, cultural heritage, or performing arts. They are creators and promote the artistic efforts and contributions of those around them. Within this category, nominees range from published authors to poets, to actors, to founders and owners of nonprofits and movements dedicated to advancing the arts. Within the education, training, and development category presented by Mohawk College, you'll meet the trailblazers who mentor and empower others by ensuring that they have the tools they need to make positive changes in their lives and the lives of others. They contribute through practice, research, or administration in a variety of learning environments and pave the way for future leaders. And within this category, you'll meet educators, the leadership driving movements across institutions, those who are prioritizing racialized peer supports, mental health, equity, and community building. These women have been nominated because they have stood out and made a difference. To the nominators tuning in, thank you, excuse me, for taking the time to acknowledge the achievements and contributions of the honoree you have nominated. We appreciate you taking the time. I would also like to thank our presenting sponsor, ArcelorMittal Dofasco. You have been by our side and have made your commitment to women and YWCA loud and clear. Thank you for your ongoing support. Recognizing the diversity and strength of women is what the Women of Distinction Award is also all about. As a Woman of Distinction nominee, you'll serve as an inspiration for a new generation of leaders. Now let's meet them. Back to you, Bianca.
Thanks, Denise. Okay, here we go. So first, I will be announcing the names of our 2022 Arts, Culture, Design nominees for Hamilton and then Halton. Then after that, I will announce all of the names for our 2022 Education, Training, and Development nominees for, once again, Hamilton, then Halton. And then on top of being nominated for these categories, a handful of the amazing women on this call today are also running for a Lifetime Achievement Award, which has been sponsored by Starwood Homes. After we've unveiled the nominees for each category, we're going to have a Q&A session with all the nominees. I'm beyond excited. Are you ready? Okay. Our 6 Hamilton nominees for Arts, Culture, and Design are Jacqueline DeForge, Karen Unchetta, Laurel Trainer, also nominated for a Lifetime Achievement, Leah Fayeta, Paula Bra, also nominated for Lifetime Achievement, and Shelley Falconer. In our Halton area, we have 3 nominees for this award, and they are Reina, Elaine Del Snyder, nominated for a Lifetime Achievement Award, and Susie McNeil. Congratulations to all of the 2022 nominees in Arts, Culture, and Design. You're now part of the YWCA Hamilton's legacy. Now we're excited to share with you all the 9 nominees for Education, Training, and Development. Huge congratulations to Catherine O'Donnell, Julie Shafsma, Kelly Leishra Falcone, also nominated for Lifetime Achievement, Lisa Rathavora, Marianne Starchvik, Myrtle Grieve, nominated for Lifetime Achievement, Renata Hall, Dr. Rosa De Silva, and Susan Denberg, nominated for Lifetime Achievement. Congratulations to each and every one of you. This year, YWCA Hamilton did not receive nominations within the Education, Training, and Development category for Halton Region, but we know that there are women across Halton who are blazing trails in this space, and we look forward to celebrating them in 2023. And we're calling on all of you to please ensure that they get nominated so that we can celebrate their wonderful achievements in our community. Okay, we're going to move to the question and answer period. And we're going to start it off pretty simple. We're going to start by getting folks to introduce themselves, tell us, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and then we're going to get into some deeper questions about the work and the impact that you make on our community as a whole. So we'll start off with those basic introductions. So I'm going to call first on Jacqueline. Would you mind quickly introducing yourself and telling us quickly about yourself in a couple sentences?
For sure. Thank you so much, Bianca, and thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to be here. My name is Jacqueline DeForge, and I am a poet and a picture book author. I'm the author of a poetry collection called Danger Flower and also a picture book called Why Are You So Quiet? I write a lot about mental health and neurodivergence. I'm also the poetry reviews editor at the Hamilton Review of Books. I'm so thrilled to be here, and this is such a wonderful group of women to be included in. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Thanks for joining us today. Karen, would you mind introducing yourself quickly as well?
Sure. My name is Karen Enchetta. I am Hamilton born and proud of it. My heritage is Filipina, and I am trained as a classical actor, but have had to diversify in order to make myself viable. And I am currently the co-founder of Porch Light Theater, and we use our skills and our knowledge to be the thing that we want, the thing that we wish for in the community. Erin, Jan, and I are theater makers, and we are very interested in giving voice to stories of all backgrounds, especially Indigenous, Black, and racialized artists. and we do what we can to support. One of the biggest things that we've done is in collaboration with industry is the Garden Project, and one of the things that I'm very much proud of.
Fantastic. Thanks, Karen, for joining us today. Can't wait to hear all about those in greater detail. But first, Laurel, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, I'm Laurel Trainer, and it's a real honor to be nominated among this amazing group of women who are all dedicated to the arts and culture and design. So I'm a professor at McMaster University, but I'm also a musician. And my research has been dedicated to understanding the importance of music. So from the responses of infants when caregivers sing to them, to how experiencing music together with others bonds us with those people. And my advocacy work involves volunteering for organizations like the Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra and working with clinicians. So we want to harness music to promote mental health. We use music-based interventions to improve outcomes for children with developmental disorders. I'm also director of the McMaster Institute for Music in the Mind, which houses the unique Live Lab Research Concert Hall. And so in addition to the research we do there, we support musicians and performances for many artists in the area. And we provide educational opportunities and workshops for many community groups, as well as public high school and university students. Yeah, and maybe I'll just say, we often think of the arts as frills, but really they're so important to us. They define us as people. They're essential for our mental health. They bond us into strong communities. And so it's just wonderful to see these women being celebrated in the arts.
Thanks for that, Laurel. You're absolutely right on that. Leah, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi there. Thank you so much. I'm really, really delighted to be here. I am an arts consultant. I specialize in grant writing and I run my own business. It's called Arts Capital. Currently on a bit of a mat leave right now, just a little bit. I bring my expertise in grant writing to my volunteering. So that includes as chair of Hamilton's amazing literary festival, Gritlit. And I am so honored that the Gritlit board chose to nominate me this year. I know it has been a very chaotic couple of years for the arts community, and we've been moving so fast that it's really hard to realize when you've made an impact. So I am very, very grateful for this opportunity to sit for a minute, all of us together, and to remember how much we've all collectively done and how much the community has accomplished. So thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for that, Leah. Paula.
Hello, Bianca. It's so delightful to be here. So I'm known as Cantor Paula Baruch, and I'm a clergy member at Temple Anshe Shalom Synagogue here in Hamilton, or not far from the university, so in the Westdale neighborhood. And my passion is making music, joining voices together to find deeper meaning, inspiration, healing, often comfort, and really joining voices to support each other as a community and build community.
Thank you so much, Paula. Thank you so much. Shell, we'd love to hear from you as well.
Hi. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. And wow, what an honor to be with such a distinct and incredible group of women. So very, very honored and grateful. I'm a museologist and an art historian, and many of you probably know me as the director of the Art Gallery of Hamilton. And of course, my passion is bringing art to people's lives, how it feeds our spirit, our minds, and our souls. I think if there's one thing we've all learned is how important the arts are to us through this pandemic, because it's often how so many of us got through. So my work and the work that my team works on is how to make our collection and visual art and all of the arts in Hamilton as inclusive as possible, and to bring it to as many people as possible.
Thanks so much, Shelley. Annie, we'd love to hear about your work and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Bianca and Denise, for having me here. And it's really a big honor to be among such talented and wonderful women who are doing so much for the community. My name is Reina, and I am an artist and a designer. I make my artworks, I make my prints for my clothing and accessories. And I have just opened my own boutique in downtown Oakville. And yeah, I graduated from Sheridan College in 2010. Originally, I'm from Kashmir, trouble-torn state of Kashmir in India. And I graduated in 2010 from Sheridan and with a bunch of scholarships and awards. And then I was an artist in residence at Harborfront Center, where my artwork got picked and was exhibited at the Pearson International Airport for over a year. And then I did Fashion Week, and where I showcased my entirely hand-stitched, dyed, printed, everything done by me collection, and which was very popular. Since then, I've done a bunch of Fashion Weeks. And yeah, I think art and design, it gives you a voice. And I would love to use that voice for the betterment of my community. So recently I was able to do 15 gift baskets for the women's shelter in Oakville. And now I'm launching a t-shirt campaign for my sisters that I can sell from my store and my online store and raise money for the shelter.
Fantastic. Anu, thanks so much for sharing that. And I can't wait to hear about further details of the stories of some of the folks that have spoken already, the nominees that we have. I feel like we're beyond blessed in this community to have so many folks contributing to really the fabric of what makes Hamilton and Halton beautiful. So thank you for that. Before we get into some deeper questions, we're going to introduce some of the folks that we already spoke about in the education side of things. So if you could just quickly tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do from the education category. I'm going to ask Catherine to share a little bit about her.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kathy O'Donnell. I'm the Director of Security Services at Mohawk College. So as you can tell, my passion, I hope you can tell, my passion is really in the field of prevention. So to get in, to build collaborations, work with teams to prevent things before they actually occur. And to build on that passion, I'm also the chair of City Kids here in Hamilton. So mentoring the youth at a very young age to get them on the field and the track that they wish to be.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kathy. Julie, we'd love to hear a little bit about you.
Hi, yes, thank you. My name is Julie Shafsma, and by day I am a furniture artist, which means I take broken, sad, decrepit, left for garbage pieces of furniture and I transform them into beautiful pieces of art. So it's very therapeutic and I love doing it very, very much. But my big passion is Voices Against Bullying. I founded that in the fall of 2019. And we have been working very hard at developing a program to have trained advocates working sort of to fill that gap between community and school. It's not ever been done before. It's something that's new. You've always been allowed to have an advocate with you, but there hasn't been anything that sort of knows all the school policies and procedures and someone that can be there as a calming presence, of course, with the kids and the parents that are dealing with the bullying. So our goal is to kind of get in from the ground up and be able to get in front of the situation with bullying rather than at the tail end of it when so much damage has been done for both the child that's being bullied, but also the kids that feel the need to bully. So it's very sad. It's very heavy. It's been a lot of work developing the program, and especially with COVID and everything going on, it kind of, like everything else, changed how it's been done, but we've made great progress in developing the program and working with all the amazing educators in the school board.
Thanks so much, Julie. Kelly, we'd love to hear from you if you'd like to introduce yourself.
I'm happy to. And I'm also thinking about what a great job you are doing facilitating this, Bianca. I would not want to be in your shoes. Hello, everyone. I'm Kelly Leger-Valconi, and I'm with the Hamilton Catholic School Board. So I have a lot of Julie's shared passion. I'm actually on the staff side of the equation, supporting educators, custodial staff, et cetera, in terms of providing direct clinical support. I've been in the field of mental health for 40 years. I'm reluctant to say that out loud, and have really worked across a number of sectors, including a course instructor at Mac and researcher and publisher. I do a fair amount of leadership training, and I supervise a number of clinicians in the community. But I've always worked in mental health. So 40 years in mental health. I joke that it has made my hair fall out, but that's not the case.
Thanks so much, Kelly. Lisa, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Bianca. My name is Lisa Rathavora. I have the honor of serving everyone who lives, works, and studies in Hamilton as the Director of Collections and Program Development at the Hamilton Public Library. I've had the privilege of working with others on the call today, and I'm so honored to be here. My passions include facilitating equitable, diverse, and inclusive collections and programs for the community that I serve, and volunteering in many places in our community, including Ronald McDonald House and Canadian Blood Services. Thanks again, Bianca and the Y.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Marianne, we'd love to hear a little bit more about you and your work.
Hi, everyone. I'm a secondary teacher with the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board, and my current role is as lead teacher librarian at my high school. And like Lisa, and I follow Lisa on Twitter, and we communicate about how we could make things better for students, not just in the library space, not just about research and improving our books to be culturally responsive and reflective of our community, but I also have a passion for working with students who are in my health action team. We've worked closely with public health and specifically on mental health, physical and social health. Last year, as everyone knows, these last 2 years have been a little bit challenging in terms of how do we reach students from home. And so the students suggested we use social media, which was a little bit nerve-wracking, but we did reach out to a lot of students through that. And we were able to successfully deliver a virtual all-school assembly through the help of a nonprofit called Live Different. And it was to help students understand how to be more resilient, and the students were the stars because they were showing us about how important it was to be vulnerable and how to bounce back for some of the things that they were facing in this challenging time.
Thanks so much, Marianne. Myrtle, we'd love to hear more about you and how you ended up on a tropical island, apparently.
Thanks to the genius of Zoom, right? My name is Myrtle Grieve. I'm very honored to be nominated. I want to thank Kathy McPherson and everyone who supported me. I had a wonderful career developing home support programs, and I was privileged to work with those marvelously women-led organizations, VON and Visiting Homemakers. And since retiring, I have mainly focused my volunteer work with CFUW, where we are very strong in advocacy, and I'll go more into that later. But I would say that during the pandemic, friendship through CFUW has been absolutely vital as we continue to support those with technology and those without technology. So I'm very proud to be here and humbled. Thank you.
Thank you, Myrtle. Rosa, we'd love to hear a little bit about your background and your work.
Thank you so much, Bianca. And I'm so honored and humbled to be nominated alongside so many remarkable women. I'm a faculty member at McMaster University, and I teach in the Faculty of Science. Thousands of students a year, really. I teach from first year to fourth year and graduate programming. The last 2 years have been incredibly challenging there, pivoting people online, pivoting people that include staff, faculty, and students online, and making it the best environment possible. And I was one of the leads for that in biology and also in science. So it was a huge challenge, but it made us stronger, and everyone supported everyone and was incredibly forgiving of everyone, which fostered even a stronger community, which was wonderful. Outside of my role at McMaster, I work really heavily in the community with the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, helping our neighbors in needs. We've seen a huge uptick in families in need, especially with unemployment that came about during the pandemic, and with our small group in our local chapter. It's been a huge impact on us and really shown us kind of the blessings we have in being able to have jobs that we've been able to continue online. And that's not the case for everyone. So thank you all once again.
Thanks, Rosa. Now, last but certainly not least, Susan, we'd love to hear a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm also, like everyone else, hugely honored to be nominated and very gratified that my colleagues saw fit to do so. I've had a long career at McMaster, essentially my whole professional career. I'm a psychologist by training. I'm a professor. I'm a grandmother, so I'm not on a tropical island, but I'm surrounded by the culture that my grandsons provide. I am the executive vice dean in the Faculty of Health Sciences, but I've held a lot of positions at the university. And my passion at the university is really to break down barriers, to develop interdisciplinary programming so students and professors get a chance to engage with each other, to answer big, important questions with more than one lens, to promote inclusion for equity deserving groups, students' access to programming, and to make a difference in the community. And one of the ways I've chosen to do that is to champion aging as a priority in research and education at the university so that we can address very real life challenges for our aging population. And in the real world, there too, I've spent many years on the board, chairing the board and working at the strategy for Shalom Village in the community, which is a very well-regarded long-term care and residential facility for aging folk. And that grounds me as well in coming back to the university, identifying what are the issues that we really need to think about. So thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Okay, so this is the part of the question and answer where I'm just going to sort of call on folks at random to answer some questions that I think have been on a lot of people's minds and really gets us to open up about our journeys and how we've got to where we are and where we see the future of our communities and your contributions to it. So I'm going to call on folks at random, but should you be interested in piping into a particular question or topic, please feel free to do so, to sort of allow a free and open discussion. But we're going to start off with something that's been brought up by most folks so far in the introductions. The pandemic, it's affected us in unlimited ways, it feels like, and it's presented challenges, it's presented opportunities, and we want to hear about how it's impacted you, whether you're in arts, whether you're in education and training. It's impacted just about every facet of our lives. So we want to hear how it's impacted you and how you've responded to its impacts, whether positive or negative. We're going to start off with Karen to tell us about how the pandemic has impacted her and her work.
Thanks so much. I have to say that it's been really surprising, actually. A lot of the work that I've done previously is in Toronto, and this time around, working online and learning how to work Zoom. Now I'm a pro. But in the beginning, it was very scary. I just thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But I realized that I could make dinner for my family and I could click on and watch a play that was happening. And I just thought, oh, wow, this is accessible in a way that it wasn't before. So secretly, I really enjoyed that part of it. And I hope that there is that, the accessibility of it stays. I did a lot of work with Filipinas in Toronto, the care workers with CESO and a group called Kwentang Bayan. And before the pandemic, we did storytelling and got to hear and explore stories and how and their work and fighting for rights of care workers. And we had a process that was already about exchanging and building stories through email. And during this phase of storytelling, we just carried on. And I saw how important it really was. There were members that couldn't travel all the way to downtown Toronto, where we would usually work. But then all of a sudden I had care workers that would come off of their shift and they would be in their room in Barrie and I would be in my room. And it was like these two bubbles that were able to meet in the evening and just connect. And I thought, oh, this is amazing. Like there was a couple of members that we wouldn't have had in that group. And I think it was it was really, really important. So just being able to reach out and do stuff from here was really wonderful. I think it really made a difference to some of the workers that worked on this project to tell their story, and the knowledge that they have in terms of working in isolation was something that was super interesting in terms of them kind of like doing what they normally do, but then there was like this it was heightened through this time. So I think that I appreciated doing that online, and I think that there was a lot of other projects too that I was able to it was just really great to be able to connect with people through this crazy medium and have new mediums through theater, film, kind of hybrids develop. We found a way to work.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people can relate to, a lot during this pandemic, so much has been born out of necessity, and people find ways to connect one way or another. And the internet has certainly facilitated a lot of that. So thanks for sharing that, Karen. Jacqueline, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how the impact of the pandemic has affected you, your work, your community work, and share with us how you've overcome it or how you've taken advantage of it.
For sure. Thank you so much, Bianca. Well, before the pandemic started, I was doing a lot of in-person community building. I was teaching writing workshops out of my own home on Sunday mornings. I would facilitate workshops for Hamilton writers, and it was a really, it's so powerful to be in the room with people and have them be sharing their stories and connecting with one another, and the bonds that formed were so intense, and it was a really nourishing time. So when the pandemic started, it was very strange to suddenly lose that. And then I went ahead and launched 2 books during the pandemic. So I haven't actually had like a non-pandemic book launch experience. So that was amazing. And much like Karen was mentioning, I was so, on the one hand, I really missed those in-person connection experiences. And on the other, I really appreciated the accessibility, the ability to reach out to more writers than I could before in person, to be able to talk about my book all across the country, be able to talk about the themes in Why Are You So Quiet about introversion and children's mental health, and then later with Danger Flower about mental health as well, but also depression, sexuality, bodies, neurodivergence, all sorts of things like that. So other things that I've done during the pandemic have included, I started doing those Sunday morning things again, but instead of around my kitchen table, I did a much looser version of those workshops on Instagram Live, where I would just sit in my chair, go live and chat, have a cup of coffee, throw down a prompt for people to write to. We would write together, and that became its own method of connection that was different from the kitchen table kind, but it was also really magical and special. And so, yeah, all of those things. And also volunteering at the Hamilton Review of Books, which I started doing through the pandemic, has been really wonderful because it allows me to write about other people's work, to review poetry books, and accessibility in terms of making poetry something that feels available to everyone is really important to me. I love writing in an accessible way about poetry. I love writing about poetry collections in a way that makes people want to go and buy them and not feel intimidated. So yeah, it's been fascinating. It's been a bit wild, and I'm so grateful for all of those forms of connection that I've managed to continue throughout the pandemic. Even though we're separated, art really brings us together. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thanks, Jacqueline. I can say as an appreciator of the arts, the accessibility component and feeling like the arts are open to you as a person it means a lot to me as someone from the outside looking in. So I think that that's a really key piece. Julie, I'd love to hear about how the pandemic has impacted you, your work, and how you've sort of adapted through these times.
Yeah, I think myself and our whole team could probably just echo the feeling that it was like someone just unplugged the plug from the wall socket and it just kind of went, "Meow." And we all kind of went, oh, now what, right? So we kind of had to, because a lot of our work is with, families and kids that are in school. So now there's no school in person. And the school board was like, yeah, we know this is still really important, but we have another 30 priority in line that we have to do because now we have to shift everything to go online. We have all these protocols and procedures we got to do. So it was like our focus was still there, but what we were doing, we didn't have that accessibility. Like we were meeting once, twice a week with, the school board, with, the Safe School Principals Advisory Group and all those things. And all of that just came to a standstill. So we kind of had to take a step back and reevaluate, okay, this is still really important work that we need to do. And we need to still do it because after this pandemic, and even through the pandemic, bullying is still happening. So yes, it's less, but it's still there. So we kind of went, you know what, maybe this is a bit of a blessing in disguise, or it's giving us a bit of a breather to really do our research, to really lay the groundwork for this program so that when we are back in school, we have more to our knowledge and have more research done. So we kind of took a step back, took a breather, reevaluated everything, and really came back at it with, we do know that now this is on, number 31 of your priority list, not number 1, number 2 anymore, but we're still, we're going to kind of bug you a little bit to kind of keep going with this. So we definitely felt the effects big time. But we kind of, instead of getting really down in the dumps about it and losing the momentum, us too, right? We still had to figure out the Zoom. We had to figure out, how to meet virtually, how to do all that, how to keep, how to have a conversation to your computer, right? Like it's so different. It's so different. And I think Jacqueline mentioned it too. Like when you're in person, right? We used to meet, there was about 10 or 12 of us that would meet together in a church basement. So we were, in a safe place. It was a large room. We had it all to ourselves. The power that was in that room, we would walk out of there and just be like, wow, like the things we could accomplish and the ideas that came out. So trying to capture that same power through Zoom was really difficult at first, but we managed to still have that. I think one of the craziest things for me is that over the last 2 years, the amount of work and what we've been able to build so far blows my mind, because many of these people I've never even met face to face. I've never been able to give them a handshake. I've never been able to give them a hug. I've never been able to give them the respect they deserve in person, to say thank you for becoming a community partner, becoming part of the team, becoming on board to help us do what we need to do. It's all been either, 8 feet away or with a mask on or on a Zoom. So I'm really looking forward to the day where I can just really shake some people's hands that really, stepped out of their way to help us out. So it's just become normal too, right? To be like, hey, see you on Zoom, put on a nice top, have your cup of coffee, click on the Zoom, and there you are. And then you hit it, and the accessibility has been incredible. Before it would have to go to go to a meeting. Well, you'd have to drive there, you'd have to park, you'd have to, take an extra half hour before and after. So instead of an hour meeting, now it's like a 2-hour event. Whereas when you're at home, it's like, hey, get the cat out of the room, shut the door, press the link, and you're on. So I just found that was really nice too. And it opened up, instead of shutting it down, it almost opened up more avenues for us, because we were able to reach people, worldwide, right? Because everything just kind of went on the platform. So it was
Absolutely.
It was tough, but it did become a lot easier. And it was kind of a blessing in disguise to us to have that time, because it was so intense at the very beginning when we first started, that it was the mental toll it was taking on all of us doing this either. So it was kind of nice to kind of go, okay, we have to make sure our kids are safe, our family's safe, that we're staying safe, what's going on in the world. but it kind of gave us time to go, okay, I need to take a mental break from, because it's a heavy topic. It's a very, very, very heavy topic. So
I think that's something that a lot of us can relate to when dealing through the challenges that come along with the pandemic. Lisa, I'd be really curious to hear your experience navigating the pandemic and everything that's come along with it.
Thanks, Bianca. The pandemic changed all the in-person services the library was able to offer. The creative programs, collections, and public services team, though, have pivoted to virtual and safe ways to offer library services members in a variety of ways, including things like grab-and-go bags, virtual chats, and programs. We were able to work with creative teacher librarians like Marianne and have a lot of virtual collections shared with students. And now that folks are able to come back to the library in person safely, we are able to continue to resume some of those programs. And I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Shelley Felkner, because at a different level, she brought together a very large group of arts and community leaders to meet every few months. And in pre-pandemic, that group would never have been able to get together. The schedule would never have been allowed. But Shelley continued to persist and find the time, an hour or so in everyone's calendar. And what that allowed us to do was not only persevere, but find new ways to be creative and collaborate together. So while the pandemic did bring about a lot of challenges, it also brought a lot of new ways for all of us to work together and serve our communities.
That's incredible. Shelley, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what Lisa just mentioned there. That sounds like a great accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. And a big thank you to you and everything that you do, the incredible programming. I would say, you know, the pandemic, I have to say, the thing that struck me, and it's that program and many programs, was the enormous resilience and creativity that everyone showed. And in those very early days when we didn't know it was going to last this long, remember when we all thought this was just going to be a couple of weeks? What really struck me as quite incredible was how quickly we were able to move and online. And I've heard this too from, of course, our other colleagues that are here. But for us to take a collection that spends most of its time in our vaults and to start moving that online, and as one of my team said, it was as though we turned our art gallery into a television studio. We moved so quickly to not only move what we could of the collection online, but the programming. Access and inclusivity are, for me, the two critical functions that we really had to shift at the Art Gallery Hamilton. And it's been my priority, my team's priority the last few years for so many communities, because we know in Hamilton we have such a big community. And I always feel that our tent has to be big enough for everyone. And I think, you know, things that stand out to me, the programs we did with the library and also the Hamilton Youth Poets. There we were, they were all excited about this exhibition that we were going to do with them. And so many of our programs and exhibitions were canceled with the pandemic. But we found a way through technology to show them what was in the vaults, to use technology for them to be able to give voice to the exhibition they actually curated. And I think that's a really important and critical piece for us, was co-producing with our communities, our different communities. So it wasn't just about us showing you, but us doing it with you. I think of the programs we did with the Alzheimer's Society that we are continuing to do. A lot of, I'm thinking, Susan, what you talked about older communities feeling so isolated. I think of my own mother, 89. Well, we made sure that for so many of them who don't want to be on Zoom and they're not comfortable being on a computer, that we did it by telephone. So really reaching out to our very different communities and finding ways to connect with them that made sense. I think of all our artists in Hamilton. The pandemic started in March of 20. Our big art sale, which we do every year annually, includes about 70 artists. Well, everyone thought we would just cancel it because it was only a month away. We moved really quickly because my fear was that I didn't want to abandon the artists. At the time, not knowing how the community would respond, we simply, I thought, I'll put all of the art online so at least they have visibility. Well, who knew that the public, because everyone, of course, was stuck at home, was going to respond with such generosity and supported all those artists. Do you know that we broke a record with that art sale? and that went in to the pockets of those visual artists, because of course everyone was at home staring at their walls and wanted to put new art up. So, you know, it's been about experimenting, working with others, being really, you know, part of the community, and making space for people who don't always have a voice. And that's, you know, we're on a journey. I think it'll take many years to get there, so that everyone can feel included. But I think one of the wonderful things I think the pandemic has done, it has forced many of us to increase that level of work with our communities and access.
You're here. I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to meeting people where they're at. And it sounds like that's exactly what you've been doing. And it's exactly what we all need to do during this pandemic to continue our important work. Okay, we're going to shift topics ever so slightly because I feel incredibly inspired to be in this Zoom call with all of you. So I'm really curious to know what inspired you to do the work that you're doing in our communities. So I'm going to start off with Rosa to get a sense of what's inspired you throughout the years.
So as a professor, my students constantly inspire me, right? I mean, from a frontline faculty level, I get to meet students in level 1 and see their growth up until level 4, and the progression and their professional development and their just growth as little humans into adults is just incredible. Aside from that, just our colleagues that work with us, like we have frontline staff at McMaster that faculty could never do what we do without our frontline staff that support us. Even everyone that's doing the essential work at McMaster. Like if I didn't have the electrician to make sure my projectors were connected, I would not be able to run a lecture. If I didn't have the custodial staff, we could not return to in-person learning safely. Okay, sorry, at home teaching. SK. And then aside from that, just the community, being able to connect with the community one-to-one, doing experiential activities with students in the community, that really drives everything that I do. Outside of the university, I think it's really important to always engage with our community in every way that we can that's not connected to the career, to gain insight on the needs of the community, the needs that relate to international families, families that are newly landed, individuals that are here alone, because that transcends into the classroom. If we don't understand the stories outside of the classroom, then it'll be very hard to connect or be able to teach and help students learn without gaining context on the challenges they might face beyond your safety in that classroom in their own homes. So it's a huge open circle, and it really is what drives me to engage on campus and connect off campus to gain insight on the bigger stories.
Thanks for sharing that. Anu, I'd love to know what exactly inspires you in the work that you've been up to in our community.
I would say what inspires me most is honestly the community itself. Pandemic was really hard. It was like a roller coaster ride for me emotionally, and had a bunch of meltdowns because I was working out of my basement and selling at the shows like One of a Kind, Cabbage Town Show, Maidenland Show, and everything got canceled. So I was forced to think, am I doing this? Am I pursuing still my passion, or should I just quit now? So my neighbors came out to buy my stuff, and my kid said something that really hit me hard. My kid said, "Don't quit, Mom. You're gonna die prematurely." So this is kind of funny hearing this from them, but I knew they were telling the truth. So yeah, I guess that's what I'm. And like I said, I'm originally from Kashmir, and we lost everything there to ethnic cleansing of our community. So I feel like I've gained so much here, made so many friends. My life is here, and so much support that my neighbors came out to buy my pieces, and that's what keeps me going. And everyone said, just hang in there, just hang in, don't quit. So I feel like even if I can give a fraction of that back, I would really consider myself very lucky.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Really, truly. Susan, it looks like, and I think you mentioned that your grandkids certainly inspire you a fair bit, and you mentioned that you're surrounded by their inspiration. Is that true? And who else would you say, or what else would you say inspires you?
Thank you. Yes, that is very true. I want to circle back for 1 second to the COVID question, because I'm going to take the other position. I think that Julie and Shelley and others captured eloquently all the strengths and the positive things that have happened with COVID, the efficiencies, the transcontinental capacity. But what worries me is it's made a lot of our work very transactional. It's very efficient. And that efficiency has also increased our expectations of folks, including those babysitting and breastfeeding at home, that they continue working and they do it round the clock. And even though we recognize all the stress associated with it, we somehow can't hold ourselves back. So I'm hoping the post-COVID or the exit from COVID, that however long the trajectory, draws us equally well on our creativity, so that we get into a hybrid model where we take the best of what we learned educationally, research-wise, et cetera. But we really, I mean, living is a contact sport, and educating and research and community engagement. We need each other, and the passion that I think it was Julie described in her basement, you know, it can happen sort of on Zoom, but not really, I don't think. So we've gotten tremendously far. The resilience of our colleagues has been extraordinary, but I'm a fan of in-person. And I think even driving to work, it's life. There's some element of living when you're driving to work. But I will talk about my, the folks that motivated me. And it was my teachers, actually. Training as a psychologist, I had extraordinary mentors and clinical supervisors. And basically what I learned from all my best teachers was the importance of critical thinking and lifelong learning. And I think that's guided me when I talk about breaking down barriers. I think that's guided me in everything I've done, both with students and with staff and with my own colleagues, because one of the areas that I've spent a tremendous amount of time in is professional development, mentoring and coaching others, leaders, all sorts, and helping them identify their allies and creating trusting environments. And I had that given to me. It was a gift that I had teachers who trusted me and gave me a platform, gave me wings, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure many of us can relate to the importance of mentorship throughout our journeys. So I hear you there, Susan. Thank you for that. If only we could continue this conversation for hours longer. I feel like we really could with this group of folks, but I wanted to say, truly, this is an incredible lineup of amazing women. And this is a great kickoff to our first day of announcements. So I want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon, and congratulations to all of our arts, culture, design, and our education, training, and development nominees. Best of luck to each of you. If you want to be a part of the award ceremony to see who will be named the 2022 Women of Distinction for each of these categories, then please join us on March 3rd. Tickets are now on sale at ywcahamilton.org. By purchasing a ticket, you'll have exclusive access to a virtual award program unlike any other. Your ticket includes dinner from your choice of one of the YWCA's local restaurant partners, including Rapscallion Rogue Eatery, Radius, Carmen's, The Platter Company, and Fossil. Guests will also receive a special curated gift box full of local goodies, compliments of YWCA Hamilton and our partners. Your ticket will give you access to watch the award gala live in a viewing room with friends, family, colleagues, really whoever you'd like to watch the show with. YWCA also has an out-of-town live stream ticket option for folks to purchase a ticket to tune in live and cheer for our nominees wherever they may be. And we also have an amazing lineup of auction items going live on February 24th. Proceeds from the Women of Distinction Awards powers the critical programs and services that are offered by the YWCA Hamilton, making sure that every woman and her family has the tools and resources needed to rebuild their lives. Don't forget to join us tomorrow when we announce the nominees in our business leadership, entrepreneurship, and innovation category. We'll be here again from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. So please register if you haven't already and help spread the word. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Wish you all a great day.